administration has been able to achieve and what is in store for Nigerians, God willing, in 2026, which is just a few days away. So I am not going to bore you with too much grammar today. What I'm going to do is to go delve into the issues to tell Nigerians what is it that this administration has been able to do. Distinguished colleagues, it is appropriate to start this end-of-the-year press conference by re-amplifying the good news that came to all Nigerians yesterday from the Office of the National Security Advisor. This is the news that all of you have heard by now, that the remaining part of the abducted school children and their teachers from St. Mary's Catholic School in Papri in Niger State, 130 of them all have been rescued and they have been handed over to the government of Niger State for examination before an onward handing over to their various families. Now, this brings to total the entire 230 of these school children that have been abducted. Recall that the first batch of 100 of them have been reunited with their families. So in total, no one is left in captivity from the event that has happened at St. Mary's Catholic School in Papri in Niger State. I thought that I will get some clap at this point. Now, also recall that the abducted people in the church in Kwara State have since been reunited with their families, and those in Kebbi State have also been reunited with their families. Now, it's a sad one. No one wants to see anybody, our school children or anybody for that matter, being abducted in any part of this country. And let me reassure you that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has given a charge to the security agencies to ensure that this does not happen again. And where it unfortunately happened, there will be full disclosure and there will also be a swift response to ensure that no one goes away with any kidnapped member of the Nigerian society. In this joyous season, the federal government emphasizes with the parents of the pupils for the anguish that this abduction has caused them and wishes them a pleasant family reunion, a good healing process, and compliments of the season and Merry Christmas to all of them. I stand before you today, like I said earlier, on the directive of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to review the outgoing year, account for the trust you placed in this administration, and to present an unequivocal blueprint for the year ahead. Let me present some of these highlights. And like I said, I'm going to delve into these issues, not too much grammar on them. First, our gross domestic product, that's GDP, grew by 3.98% in the third quarter of 2025, demonstrating resilient and sustained expansion in the non-oil sector. Significantly, headline inflation has now declined for 8 consecutive months to stand at 14.45% in November 2025. Food inflation, as you also know, is also on a steady downward trend. Our external reserves have strengthened to approximately $44.56 billion, providing a robust buffer that stabilizes our currency and assures international investors of the seriousness of this administration to reposition its economy. Nigeria has recorded a trade surplus also in 2025 of 6.69 trillion in the third quarter of 2025, which represents a 27.29% growth year on year. The most recent Purchasing Managers Index, what is called the PMI data, an important measure of business sentiment, indicates that Nigeria now has seen 12 consecutive months of expansion in economic activities. 12 consecutive months. On March 4, 2025, Nigeria recorded a maximum daily energy of 128.3 megawatt hours nationwide, the highest ever in the history of this country. This has happened in March of 2025. Also in the power sector, 2025 saw the kickoff of the presidential metering initiative, as well as the issuance of the first bond under the Presidential Power Sector Debt Reduction Program, the single largest coordinated financial intervention in the history of the power sector in this country. Also, and this is very important, a massively oversubscribed Eurobond issuance, attracting orders amounting to a 400% increase of the target of $2.3 billion US dollars. The target was $2.3 billion. We had a 400% oversubscription of that, demonstrating a strong investor confidence in our macroeconomic reforms. Also this year, Nigeria exited the Financial Action Task Force Grey List, the FATF. Now, this reflects a sustained and coordinated reforms in combating money laundering, terrorist financing, and other financial crimes, and marking the start of a new reputational and operational chapter to our financial sector. This is very important. The last few years, Nigeria has been under that watch list of the Financial Action Task Force. Now, what has that done to our economy? It has limited our capacity to trade internationally and also affected our own reputation as a country to do business with other people around the world. That is now a thing of the past. President Tinubu in 2025 has also approved the recapitalization of the Bank of Agriculture to the tune of 1.5 trillion naira. This is the biggest single boost to agricultural financing in our recent history. $1.5 trillion to the Bank of Agriculture. We committed to deploying over 1.5 trillion naira investments in road infrastructure in 2025 alone, the largest such commitment in our nation's history, based on our firm belief that our economy cannot grow faster than the infrastructure that supports it. At the heart of this effort are 4 legacy highway projects engineered to connect every region and unlock all new economic corridors in the length and breadth of this country. And I'm going to list them now. The first one is the 750-kilometer Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, linking our entire southern coastline. There is also the 1,068-kilometer Sokoto-Badagry Superhighway that is bridging the northwest to the southwest of this country. There is also the 477-kilometer Trans-Saharan Highway that traverses from Calabar to the FCT here. There is also the 422-kilometer Akwanga-Jos Bauchi-Gombe Expressway, integrating the north-central and the northeastern part of this country. These are not conventional roads. They are being built with reinforced concrete pavement, designed to last for at least 50 to 100 years, drastically cutting down the cost of maintenance that is associated with the use of asphalt. Also in 2025, there has been also the strong attempt by the administration to empower the next generation of Nigerians. For our young people, 2025 has been a bumper year in targeted and catalytic policy making implementation plan. The first one is Nigeria Education Loan NEL Fund, the popular NEL Fund, which has now supported over 788,000 Nigerian students with interest-free loans and stipends amounting to over 150 billion naira and still counting. Now, the desire of the president is that any young man or woman of school-going age should be left out of school simply on the account of the inability of parents or guardians to pay for tuition and also to pay for upkeep. You don't need to know anybody to connect with Nelfon. Over 788,000 Nigerian students have already benefited from this, and the president is not stopping. He is going to continue to do this. Just imagine 788,000 of these students out of school today. The federal government of Nigeria's investment in digital and creative enterprise, what is called the IDICE program, officially also kicked off during the current year 2025, with an anchor investment in a new multi-million-dollar venture fund that will support the creative and digital entrepreneurship aspirations of young Nigerians. Also, for the young people, in 2025, the federal government launched the Student Venture Capital Grant, what is called the SVCG. This is offering equity-free financing of up to 50 million naira for undergraduate innovators in science, in technology, and engineering. Also in the bracket is mathematics, medicine, and other related disciplines. This is across all the accredited tertiary institutions around the country. With this new intervention, we are nurturing the seeds of entrepreneurship in our campuses and turning our brightest minds into job creators and not job seekers. There is also the 3 million technical talent, what is called the 3MTT program, which has made significant progress during this year as it builds Africa's largest digital army. On security, in the area of security in 2025, we saw the presidential declaration of a nationwide security emergency that will, in the months ahead, translate into massive recruitment into the armed forces and the police force. And this also includes the deployment of trained and equipped forest guards to secure our forests and other vulnerable locations. What we used to have in the past is that there are dark spots within our forests that are largely unmanned, and that's creating safe haven for these terrorists and criminal elements. With this kind of recruitment and this declaration by Mr. President, there will be no hiding place for all these criminals and these terrorists hiding again in our forests. We have also in 2025 a new national counterterrorism doctrine that is anchored on 4 critical pillars: united command, intelligence, community stability, and counterinsurgency. Now, I want you also to remember that in 2025, 2 of the most internationally wanted criminals, the ISWAP head residing in Nigeria, has been captured through the coordination of all the security agencies and those also in the intelligence community. Don't forget that Abu Bara was captured a few months ago, and he was also presented to the public by the National Security Advisor and other security chiefs. Now, this is one of the most wanted terrorists on the African continent, and he was captured through the coordination of our security forces. Remember also, this was someone who had a large sum of money put on his head by even the Americans to capture him and bring him to justice. As we speak today, this gentleman, together with his chief of staff, are having their day in court, and they are going to get justice that befits them. Let me clear about what this means. That henceforth, any armed group that kidnaps our children, that attacks our farmers, that terrorizes our communities, is officially classified and will be dealt with as a terrorist organization, any individual or any group. This is the declaration that Mr. President has made. Now, the era of ambiguous nomenclature is over. If you terrorize our people, whether you are a group or you are an individual, you are a terrorist and you'll be classified as such. There is no any name hiding under this again. Nigeria is also now a respected player on the global stage. And I will prove this one. In 2025, and all of you are aware of this, we navigated a very complex international diplomacy with maturity and also with principle and with dignity that Nigerians are known for. For example, the recent diplomatic spat with the United States has been largely resolved through a firm, respectful engagement culminating in a strengthened partnership between America and Nigeria. Let me say it here, that what has happened, as bad as it was, has also helped to strengthen the kind of collaboration that Nigeria is having with the United States of America, especially in the area of security, making sure that Nigerians live free of this crime and criminal elements. As a further demonstration of this, and only a few days ago, the federal government of Nigeria signed a 5-year, $5.18 billion health cooperation memorandum of understanding with the United States of America. So for those who are thinking that Nigeria's relationship with the United States has been damaged, there is a further proof, only a few days ago, of this cooperation agreement signed between Nigeria and the United States. Now, what is in that MOU? The United States will provide $2.18 billion in grant funding, while Nigeria will contribute $3 billion. This has been described as the largest co-investment by any country to date under the America First Global Health Strategy. This will strengthen Nigeria's healthcare system, it will save lives, and it also attract investment. Now, we had some people saying that the American government was talking about only saving a particular religion in this country. What is contained in that MOU, and no particular religion was mentioned, is that there is this kind of cooperation, multi-faith cooperation amongst all Nigerians, meaning that every Nigerian is going to be a beneficiary of this arrangement. Indeed, Nigeria is no longer on the sidelines. We are confident. We are a confident and strategic partner on the global stage, defending our national interest and attracting beneficial partnerships. Just last month, we regained our Category C seat on the International Maritime Organization IMA Council for the 2026-2027 biennium. It is a celebrated welcome back following a 14-year absence. Also in 2025, various Nigerians assumed significant international positions across various sectors, including the chairperson of the Council of the World Customs Organization, the executive director of the World Health Organization's Health Emergencies Program, and the vice chair of the International Telecommunications Union, the ITU Council, and also the vice president of the International Association for Ports and Harbors in Tokyo. Additionally, this year, 2025, we secured the hosting rights for the Creative African Nexons, what is called the CANEX 2026, and the Intra-African Trade Fair, IATF 2027, one of the largest trade gatherings on the African continent. So where are those who are saying that Nigeria is losing its position on the international stage? Nigeria is not losing. Nigeria is actually gaining its seat back on the international stage, on the international table, across various sectors. In 2026, again, our newly appointed ambassadors will take up their post in their countries of assignment. Of course, their clearance and confirmation has just been made by the National Assembly. This is strengthening our bilateral relations and advancing our visibility and strategic engagement in the global community. Before this time, we have had cries and complaints and agitations for ambassadors to be put on their post. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has fulfilled that. And for the remaining part, that will be carried out in 2026. In the media and information and communication space, and this is the one that should interest you, ladies and gentlemen here. This year, Nigeria secured the hosting rights for both the 2026 World Public Relations Forum and the 2026 African Public Relations Association Conference. Now, this is a gathering of all the leaders from around the world in the public relations and communication space. All of them have agreed through the effort of the Federal Ministry of Information and National Orientation, the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, and other government, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and other government agencies, with the active support of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The world will come to Nigeria again in 2026. And let me emphasize that we made history by these two singular acts, by becoming only the second African country to ever host the WPRF, the World Public Relations Forum. It's the second time any African country will be hosting that, and it is coming to Nigeria. And the first ever, this is the first ever time that any country on the African continent will host both the APRA conference and the World Public Relations Forum in the same year. It has never happened before. Let me also say that we have also received official affirmation from UNESCO for the hosting right granted to Nigeria for the world's first Media Information Literacy Institute. And I'm delighted to note that the institute will officially take off from Abuja here in the first quarter of 2026. The 2026 budget, which is actually a blueprint for security and prosperity. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, just last week, to end the year on a very high note, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu presented the 2026 appropriation bill to the National Assembly that is aptly named Budget of Consolidation, Renewed Resilience, and Shared Prosperity. At 58.18 trillion naira, this is a budget of historic ambition and focus, featuring, amongst other things, the following. One, is the largest ever capital expenditure allocation of 26.08 trillion naira for tangible infrastructure, roads, rail, power, and ports. 26.08 trillion. Two, it is the single biggest allocation of 5.41 trillion to defense and security, a direct investment in protecting lives, property and prosperity through modern equipment for our armed forces, a new national intelligence architecture, and a secure digital border surveillance system. This indicates to you that Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is putting a renewed focus on the security of lives and property of all Nigerians. And his promise is that in 2026, Nigeria is going to witness a very secure country by the grace of God. This budget, this 2026 budget that was just presented by Mr. President is funded by very prudent assumptions. One, oil is at 64.85 barrel, $64.85 per barrel, sorry. Production is at 1.84 million barrels per day, and an exchange rate that is put at 1,400 naira. We will fund the deficit through an aggressive digitized revenue mobilization drive, ensuring that every liable entity pays its fair share without imposing unfair burden on anyone. President Tinubu has also vowed that 2026 will see a full unification of our existing budget cycles, and we will henceforth operate on a single unified budget that is backed by a single revenue cycle. This is the promise of Mr. President. This, of course, is an answer to the people who are saying we're having multiple budgets operating within the same year. That has come to an end with the budget that Mr. President has presented to the National Assembly. That budget sets the stage for a year in which the landmark new tax reform laws will go into operation. This will usher in an era of fiscal growth and a deepening of the social contract between the government and the people of Nigeria. We call for the understanding of Nigerians in this regard, as it promises to be a new era of accountability in revenue generation and government expenditure. Of course, you hear all kinds of talk related to that budget, that tax regime that is coming into effect in January of 2026. But the promise of Mr. President is that there will be accountability in revenue generation, and there will also be prudent expenditure by government to justify that reform in the first place. My conclusion is this, my dear colleagues: the journey of 2025 was one of reinforcing and strengthening the foundations of the Nigerian economy. The mission of 2026 is to raise the edifice of a secure, competitive, and prosperous Nigeria upon that. In 2025, we were reinforcing those foundations. In 2026, we are raising a solid edifice of a secure, competitive, and prosperous Nigeria on that very solid foundation. The temporary pains of reforms are yielding to permanent gains. President Tinubu's vision for Nigeria is big, his strategy is unambiguous, and his resolve is unshakable. We are consolidating stability. We are protecting our homeland. We are empowering our youth. We are building a nation where every citizen has the agency to thrive and to succeed in this country. This is the Nigeria that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is building. Together with all of you, together with all Nigerians, there is indeed in the horizon a Nigeria that is truly on the move, a Nigeria that will be a darling for all those living outside this country. Once again, compliments of the season to all of you, my dear colleagues. Happy Christmas and the New Year ahead. I promised you that I was not going to bore you with grammar, and I think I didn't. All I did was to present to you facts. If you want to counter this, please counter us on facts, not on emotions. Nigeria is on the rise, truly. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Can we please give the Honorable Minister a round of applause?